Now, what about shrubs? This is really, what you probably came to hear. Rejuvenation pruning. It really is something that is a miracle of nature. If we could do this to people, oh my, can you imagine? Getting around 50, cut myself in half, and now I'm 25. That'd be great. Only works for plants, and really only some types of plants. You cannot do this with conifers, anything that bears a cone, okay? So if it's a spruce or a pine, anything like that, you can't do renewal pruning. They don't respond well to this. But most of your broadleaf evergreens do, and a lot of our perennials do as well. They can respond well. I'm not talking about topping, okay? I'm talking about renewal pruning. So if you have a Forsythia bush and it's just giant and you don't know what to do with it, so you get the shears out and you shape it into a round ball, I know we all do that sometimes, but it's just a Forsythia didn't ever be planned to be a round ball. Okay, it's supposed to be natural. So what do? It's got an out of hand. Well, I like to wait until after it's bloomed, get its wonderful display of yellow flowers, and then I just cut it down to the ground. Take all that stuff and get rid of it, or sprout new ones out. Coming up this time of year, you can stick the branches right in the ground, cut them off, and they'll grow new ones. But if you take a Forsythia and you cut it down to the ground right after it flowers, it's going to reward you with wonderful new growth and a beautiful plant. And you can do this every few years with a Forsythia and keep it very healthy and avoid the galls and some of the other problems that affect Forsythia adversely. Rhododendron. Rhododendrons are susceptible to phytophthora wilt, and that's a very common look for rhododendron. If you've got them, you've probably seen that. The branches kind of wilt a little bit. The leaves curl up, roll up like a cigar. That's phytophthora wilt. Hard to control. There's really no good way to control it. You're not going to cure it. But if you do some pruning and take that stuff out to some clean growth, you can promote the life of that plant a little longer. And if you do it gradually, which is what this shows, you can do this over the course of time, you can get that rhododendron way down low, okay? And it'll grow, it'll come back, all right? This is a wonderful time of year to prune right now, February and March, if you're not worried about flowers, okay? If you're worried about flowers, then you want to wait till after they flower, depending on the variety of rhododendron. Again, for the big leaf type rhododendrons, you might want to take them down a little bit at a time. So maybe take a third of them down this time of year, and then next year do another bit and another bit. And that way, by that third year, you'll have flowers growing on that first part, okay? You really are cutting down into the wood. You want to take it back to a good point, though. Don't, try not to just cut it in the middle of somewhere. But what I will say is that on those plants, there are buds there that you don't know. You don't see them. And when you wound that plant, and then when the light strikes it, buds will sprout out from there, and you'll get new growth.
Can you take a whole plant and cut it down if you really want to do it?
Can you take a whole plant and cut it all the way down? You sure can. I live in Laytonsville, and we've got a lot of historic homes there that date back to the 1800s, and some is late 1700s. And one of the houses in town had some giant rhododendrons. I mean, they were up to the third story. They're beautiful. You could not see their front porch, though. They were gorgeous plants. They were all the way up, and they took them down to the ground. And I'm telling you, some people were very upset. They just thought, oh my God. And if you go by that house now, you would think they put new rhododendrons in, and they're just beautiful. So yeah, if you have the stomach for it, you can take them all the way down. Rhododendrons can take 3 to 4 years to fully recover. What about disinfecting your tools? Yeah, if you're cutting and it's wet or diseased plants, then yeah, you really need to do that. This time of year, you don't have to worry so much about it. There aren't too many diseases that are active right now. Yeah, you can do that this time of year. Again, you're probably, that wilt kind of is spreading through the soil for that particular plant. Now, if you had fire blight or something like that that you were pruning for, which can affect things like crabapple and pear, and it was bad last year, you got to be real careful about your pruning technique. And really, you want to take fire blight at least 12 or 18 inches past where it's affected, and you want to disinfect between cuts. So why should you save a plant? Maybe the plant has sentimental value. Maybe you like it a lot. Maybe it's just something that you've grown accustomed to, a quince plant, which is an old-fashioned plant. You just love it. That could be a reason to save it. or maybe it looks like a big weed and you really shouldn't save it. It's time to get rid of it, okay? What do we want a big weed for? How do you disinfect? You can make a 10% Clorox solution to dip your tools in. You can, you know, I don't know if this is, you know, highly touted or whatever, but you can spray your tools with Lysol. Okay, I think that's a disinfectant. It's probably going to do the job. Just remember to lubricate your tools and use WD-40 or something like that so they don't rust up from putting that water or Clorox on them, which is going to corrode your tools. So good candidates for renewal. You see the top picture there? That's what I'm talking about. You know, if you're going up and you don't know if there's an axe murderer on that front porch, and there might be, I think it's time to renew that hedge. I mean, you could pull it out and just say, I want new plants, but maybe you grew up with that and you really like the look of that hedge. Well, you can cut that down all the way to the bottom of the porch. You can narrow it up. It'll look nothing but sticks, and it'll grow back, and then you could maintain it lower, and you'll actually be able to see the porch and the axe murderer. Okay. The house on the left, I mean, again, those bushes, some of those bushes are just getting up really tall. They could probably come down. And boxwoods are misunderstood plants. They benefit greatly from renewal pruning. They're tougher than we give them credit for. I think I included this in your handout. It's just a short list of some of the plants that are good candidates for renewal pruning. There are more than this. So if you're not sure, find out. How do you find out? You can call the Master Gardeners.
How about camellias or yews?
Camelias or yews, yeah, we'll talk about those, but camellias are good plants that can be renewal pruned. You may sacrifice flowers depending on, there's, you know, some bloom kind of in the late winter, early spring, and some bloom in the fall. So you have to think about that, but that's a broadleaf evergreen and they will respond well. Yews are also great candidates with an asterisk for renewal pruning. Yeah. Azeleas, yeah, they're good candidates. You can take them down almost as far as you'd like. You can bring them way, way down, but you have to recognize that when you do that, you're probably not going to see flowers again for 3 years. So if it's a plant that's just out of hand, but you love it, sacrifice the flowers, prune it back, get the new growth, and then maintain it at a lower height, and it'll be fine. Or wait until after it flowers and do the same thing. You're still not going to see flowers again for about 3 years. Oh, tree peonies. I'm not sure about them. I would be very cautious about that. You need to find more out about a tree peony. It's a little bit different. Okay. What about pruning roots? Well, pruning roots is you know, something that you have to be done very carefully if it's on a big tree or something like that. Now, sometimes when you are rejuvenating a plant, it might actually help to prune the roots, but you really need to be very careful about pruning roots on large trees. And some of those roots are actually what are holding the tree up. And so if you prune them off, the tree might fall over. Okay?